how are you doing? I hope you're doing so great. Today we're going to study a new topic, tag questions. So let's start. Tag questions are used to ask for agreement or to ask for things, favors, or new information to determine which listen to the speaker's tone. Also, a tag question is a small question that is attached or tagged to the end of a sentence. Let's see use of the tag questions. First, tag questions can be considered as an indicator of politeness, emphasis, or irony. Second one, they may suggest confidence or lack of confidence. And the last one, they may be confrontational or tentative. So, tag question form. Tag questions vary according to different factors, such as the choice of auxiliary, the negation. The structure is generally as follows. Here you have an example, right? The first one, affirmative statement, he likes him. And if you have an affirmative statement, you have to have the negative tag or the tag question in negative, right? Doesn't he? So, he likes him, doesn't he? Also, you have the negative statement and the affirmative tag. She doesn't care about him, does she? In this case, if you have a negative statement, the tag question must be in affirmative, right? And here the sentence is in simple present. That's why you have to use the auxiliary does, because you're talking about third person, right? She or he. Tag questions are used to ask for agreement or to ask for things, favors, or new information to determine which listen to the speaker's tone, right? So let's see some examples here. You have a positive statement plus a negative question tag. First, you have you are a student. This is a positive statement because you're using are in the simple present, right? And in affirmative form. A subject pronoun comes after an auxiliary or a form of the verb to be. So, if you have a negative statement, you need to have a tag question in positive. For example, Mary isn't a teacher. That is a negative statement, right? So, the tag question must be positive. Is she? A subject pronoun is used to replace the noun or noun phrase. So if you notice, pay attention to the order here, right? First, you're going to have the auxiliary verb, in this case, is, and then the subject, she, because you're talking about Mary, right? And also don't forget the question mark. Then we have the intonation and the meaning. The intonation of a question tag shows the exact meaning of it. If the information of the question tag goes up, it means you are not sure and you want to know the answer. For example, John doesn't speak Spanish. Does he? If you notice here, you have to raise the intonation in does, right? Does he? So, a raising tone at the end of a tag question indicates that it's a real question. The speaker wants to know something or wants someone to do something. Then we have, if the intonation of the question tag goes down, it means you are checking, confirming information, or making a conversation. For example, John doesn't speak Spanish. Does he? If you notice here, you have to down the intonation, right? Does he? right? So, falling tone, however, means that the speaker is looking for an agreement, right? Then we have positive statement, negative tag. If you have, you are a student, aren't you a student? He is very busy, isn't he? He was happy, wasn't he? They were surprised, weren't they? So, in this case, if you are using a positive statement, then you have to have a negative tag. If it is the verb be is simple present, you can use aren't or isn't in this case, right? Also, if it is in past, the verb be, also you need to use a negative tag if positive statement. Also, if you have you speak English, don't you? He studies Spanish, doesn't he? You studied for the test, didn't you? So in this case, if you are using simple present, you have to use the auxiliary don't or doesn't, depends of the subject of the sentence, right? And also if it is in past, right, you need to use didn't. Negative auxiliaries and verbs in tags are usually in their contracted form, right? And also if you have another tense, for example in this case, present perfect, you have studied all week, haven't you? You had arrived before he left, hadn't you? This is a past perfect, right? And future with will, you will pass the exam, won't you? You can speak 2 languages, can't you? You could do it for me, couldn't you? We must be patient, mustn't we? You should go now, shouldn't you? You would like a new job, wouldn't you? Also, if you notice in all those examples, if you have a positive statement, you need a negative tag. But what about the opposite? If you have a negative statement, you need to have a positive tag. For example, you aren't a teacher, are you? He isn't crazy, is he? He wasn't relaxed, was he? They weren't late, were they? So, if you have a negative statement first, the question tag must be in positive. You don't speak French, do you? You didn't study for the test, did you? You haven't been here all week, have you? You hadn't done it before then, hadn't you? You won't fail the exam, will you? You can't drive a car, can you? You couldn't do it for me, could you? We mustn't say anything, must we? You shouldn't be so busy, should you? You wouldn't stop me, would you? So, if you notice, if you have a negative statement, you need to have a positive tag. So, statements using barely, hardly, neither, no, nobody, no one, none, nothing, and seldom are treated as negative statements. For example, nobody went to the meeting, did they? Nothing is ready, is it? So, in this case, you are using nobody. So, in that sentence, you can notice that that is like a negative meaning in that sentence. That's why you need to use a positive tag. When the statement contains a word with a negative meaning, the question tag needs to be positive. Another example, he hardly ever speaks. So, does he? Or they rarely eat in restaurants. Do they? So if you have like a word that has a negative meaning, you must use a positive tag, right? Also, we have some exceptions. Some verbs and expressions have different question tags. For example, I am attractive, aren't I? In this case, if you notice, you are using am, but when you are going to use the question tag, you must use are. In this case, because this is an affirmative sentence, you need to use it in negative, right? I am attractive, aren't I? Another exception, let's go to the beach, shall we? So if you're using let's, right, in this case, in the third question, you must use shall we. What about in a positive imperative? Stop daydreaming. You must use will or won't you. So stop daydreaming. Will you or won't you? If it is a negative imperative, don't stop singing. Will you? So guys, that's all for today. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye bye.